Hello, and welcome to the Prepare to Prosper podcast, episode 10, where we prepare today, prosper tomorrow. And this is the 10th episode. I'm doing pretty good here, I think. Getting a little bit better every time is my goal. But I'm committed to do this for the next year. I got a list of topics I want to cover over the next year, and then we'll see from there. The average podcast I just looked up has 50 episodes. I at least want to get to the 52 mark of doing it for a year and be better than average. So we'll see if we get there or not. So today is all about security. Yesterday we talked about last week we talked about shelter. Next week we're going to talk about power, but today's security. And it's not going to just be all gun stuff. A lot of people in the preparedness, survivalists, those kind of communities and stuff, they just want to focus on guns. I got this gun. I got this cool gun. It does this cool thing. There's a lot more to security than just having guns. And we will cover guns, but we're going to cover a lot of other stuff before we get there. So the first thing I want to cover is I heard this from Frank Sharp Jr. is where I heard this credited to. But don't go to stupid places with stupid people and do stupid things. Now, if you do those kind of things and you do it a lot, you're either going to end up in a self-defense situation where you get out okay, but you have to deal with the ramifications of that for the rest of your life, or you're going to end up in jail, or you're going to end up getting hurt. So you don't want to do that. That breaks the basic rules of preparedness. Because if you're injured or in jail or dead or anything like that, you can't take care of your family and you can't take care of yourself. My brother-in-law and a coworker I had said that they only carry their guns if they're going places they think they might need a gun. They don't carry it every day on their hip like I do. And the problem with that is if you're going someplace where you think you might need your gun, you should probably rethink whether or not you should go there. I carry my gun with me all the time because we never know what might happen. You might go to Walmart and something happen or something like that. And pretty much everybody knows about, I can't think of his first name off the top of my head, but Dickens, who was in the mall down in Indianapolis, who stopped an active shooter. Now, I don't think we should be going out and preparing and looking for those active shooters, but you never know when that's going to happen, so you should be ready beforehand. And one way we do that is through situational awareness. So if you're walking around the stores or pumping gas or doing anything like that, I'm really bad at this. I'll have both earbuds in. You should probably not have any earbuds in, or maybe just one. That way you have better situational awareness. That's something I need to do a lot better job of. Excuse me. And then what we're going to do as a family, we haven't been doing this, but we decided to, is we're going to play like an I Spy game. Every time we drive somewhere, everybody is going to try to find something unique, like some cool car. Oh, the neighbors 3 blocks away repainted their house. Something like that. Oh, look, the geese, they just have babies. We drove past here last week and there wasn't any baby geese. And that'll get us all practiced and comfortable with paying attention to what's going around us all the time without being paranoid and looking around, looking behind bushes, making sure there's not a boogeyman kind of come and get us, because you're just looking for cool things that you might find. Now, we all remember a few years ago how there was a bunch of rioting and stuff like that. If you live in a city that was rioted and torn up and stuff like that, you should probably think about getting out of there, because if we ever have that kind of political unrest again, you're in a city that already burnt up, already had all these problems. A lot of those cities when they had all that rioting during the so-called summer of love, people were burnt to death, murdered, and stuff like that, and the police didn't even investigate it. They didn't even bother with it. So maybe not move, I don't think you should move out in the middle of nowhere necessarily. If that's what you want to do, go right ahead. But move to the outskirts of town, move to a suburb 15 minutes away, something like that. And you'll probably be happier and better off with a quieter, simpler life the further you get out of the city anyway. cities are great to visit. I think we live a little too close to the city where we're at, but the city didn't erupt into violence. There's some problems with the city, but there's even in the little tiny town of 3,000 I came from, there was a lot of problems that most people weren't aware of. Oh, that's something else. I didn't make it in my notes, but I should mention is you can go online and look up the crime statistics in your neighborhood. Knowing what crime is going on and around you and where the crime's at, if it's gang activity, drugs, stuff like that, will give you a better idea of what kind of security and what kind of threats you might face. Also, while you're at it, look up any like chemical plants, rivers that might flood, trains, highways, stuff like that carry chemicals. That way you can keep an eye on those. That's not really much a security thing, but we can throw it in here as part of an area study and be aware of those things. So if there's an accident at like the sewer treatment plant, and they spill chlorine and you hear about that, you know where that is, where the wind's if the wind's likely to blow that towards your house or not, whether you need to check on the wind, and and you already will have a plan to get out. Stay away from unusual crowds. My opinion is I wouldn't want to be around any big crowd. Like, I don't want to go to Disney World, Disneyland, Six Flags. None of that stuff appeals to me. I don't even really want to go to a lot of aquariums and museums and stuff like that. But doing it on occasion, taking the kids to a field trip to an aquarium or to the zoo, that's okay. You gotta make sacrifices. You gotta live in the real world. You can't just crawl under a rock and pretend like nothing exists outside of your little family. So I don't mind doing that. I'm just not going to get in the habit of us always going to the little indoor amusement park like every month. Not only do I think that's too often to do those kind of things, we should be doing more family fun activities, but also that's exposing yourself to a large crowd in a confined area way too often. And also keep an eye on the news. And I don't mean like national news, I mean like local news. So you know if the people around you are getting upset and agitated. If it's a big national news thing that's going to erupt, you'll hear about it. But keep track of local things that may, news things that may cause some issues locally. All right. Set up standard operating procedures for your family. Like always locking your doors. Like we always keep our doors of the house locked unless we're going in or out of them. Now, if it's really nice outside, we don't run around the furnace. Again, you got to be reasonable with these things. We're not expecting an immediate attack. So if we're home and it's nice out, we'll open the doors and windows. But if we're going to leave, we'll close all the doors and all the windows before we leave, just to make sure the house isn't a easy target. And you can put all kinds of stuff like that in your life to make sure you're not an easy target. I used to, when I got home from work, I would go walking, and this was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I go for a walk. Now, in my neighborhood, that's an acceptable thing to do. That's safe. If you live in a neighborhood where that's not safe, I wouldn't do that. So that's what I mean by standard operating procedures. Have like rules in place for your life where you keep yourself safe. That also falls in like the only having one earbud in when you're out for a walk. Fencing. So we want to put a fence up around the backyard. And around the front yard, we're going to put a wooden fence made out of trees and lashed together. We're going to grow plants along it, like decorative plants, along with vining, like sweet potatoes and the really pretty peas or beans. I can't think of their name. Scarlet runner beans along the fence. Now that fence is mostly decorative, but it also helps an intruder that's going to look at your house goes, oh, that fence doesn't provide cover. It doesn't hide me. So people that drive down the street will still be able to see me if I cross that fence, but if the homeowner's home or something like that, I won't be able to quickly escape. So it makes your house look less appealing to an intruder, while also providing some more food, and it'll look good too for you and your neighbors. Uh, don't plant like bushes in front of your house that will give the intruder a place that he can hide behind to break in your house. Now, if you have low bushes and you keep them well trimmed, that's fine. What we want to plant and along the front of the house is a lot of ornamentals that are also medicinal and herbal. Herbal. We want to plant them inside of a raised beds, and mixed in with those, we're going to plant some roses. So they'll look really nice, but it'll protect the windows because nobody wants to crawl through a bunch of roses to break through a window. So the security stuff should be stuff like this that you can work into your everyday life. That doesn't mean make you paranoid. That actually adds to your life and makes your life better. Like being able to look out the window and seeing roses, and every time you come home have these beautiful rose plants all summer long. Looks nice. It makes your house better and increases the resale value of your house while also increasing security. Another good thing is some window film. We bought a roll. We're slowly putting it up on all the windows. This window film makes it harder for people to see in the house because it's tinted. It also makes it less light gets into the house, which keeps it cooler in the house in the summer, which is really nice because it's cheaper to heat the house than it is to air condition our house. So blocking a lot of that UV light from heating up the house is a big plus. It also blocking the UV light will protect the furniture because they won't be exposed to UV light all the time. Also protect the paint on the walls. But that film means if somebody breaks the window, it's less likely to come into pieces. They got to break through the film on the other side too. So it adds security while also adding all the other benefits, the beauty and the protection from UV light and the savings in cooling bills. And then I want to move on to some training stuff. So I think like firearms training and practicing your firearm stuff is really important, but also we're gonna go around to some of the self-defense karate places like that and have like karate classes and stuff like that. We'll do like 2 months of that and work it in like as part of the kids' PE class, and then we'll take 2 months off and maybe do swimming, and then do like another 2 weeks of defensive training, and then do 2 weeks where we do some walking, and then or maybe push-ups, sit-ups kind of exercise, and that way the kids get a break from that training, physical combat training. They don't really want to learn self-defense training, so it gives them a break from that, but also is worked into like a PE class because they're homeschooled. So it's not that big a deal, and we keep things mixed up and fresh. That way they don't get as bored with it and aggravated with it if they don't like it. And something else, next thing is if all you carry is a gun, there's a phrase, if all you carry is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I think you should carry less than lethal options. Now those cheap stun guns you buy that when you push the button, those sound scary, they look scary, but they don't hurt enough to incapacitate somebody. I don't think they're garbage, but I don't think they're much better and much more usable than garbage. I think there's a lot of other things that you're better off with. One of those things is a really bright flashlight. I carry an EDC flashlight with me everywhere I go. This guy right here, if you're watching the video. And it has a dim mode that I use all the time just to see things. But if I double click the button, it shines a really bright, blinding light that will stop anybody in their tracks. And if you triple click, it'll give you a strobe light, which is really disorienting. I got a flat tire at work. I changed the flat tire and then went down to the gas station because I didn't keep up on making sure the spare had air in it. This is actually right before me and Sarah got married, and my car was broke down. I was working on it, and this was Sarah's car. Not to blame her. I was her boyfriend. I should have checked to make sure the tire had air in it too. But that's what happened. So I went down to the gas station to finish filling up the spare. And while I was doing that, this gas station is on the corner, on the outside of town, and a lot of trucks stopped there to spend the night. Well, as I was filling up the gas station, or filling up there at the gas station, this guy comes walking across the parking lot towards me. And I notice him, and I look at him, and he starts speeding up. So I grab my flashlight and shine it in bright mode in his face. That stops him. He can't see me at all, but I can still see him. And he tells me he's just one of the truck drivers checking to see if I was okay. And I'm like, I turn the flashlight off, and he goes back to his truck. But if he would have been a bad guy, I would have stopped him at distance without having to deploy my firearm. The next thing I carry, and I really highly recommend, is pepper spray. So pepper spray is good if you are in a situation where it's just some out of control angry person and they're pushing and shoving you, and you don't want to injure them. You don't want to go hands on and start punching them or use your firearm. You can use the pepper spray, a short little burst of it. That'll stop them. They don't want anything to do with it. They're going to back off, but it won't hurt them. It's not even much being hurt as being punched. And now that I've gone this far, I should bring up, none of this is legal advice. Consult your lawyer, blah, 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 that kind of legal mumbo jumbo. Don't sue me, I'm broke. I don't make any money off this podcast and my YouTube channel. Don't try. Anyway, legal mumbo jumbo aside, pepper spray is also good if you have a dog and you walk your dog regularly like you should. Pepper spray is good if your dog gets in a fight with another dog. You can just spray it and you don't have to worry about your dog accidentally getting hit if you're shooting or something like that. Because when dogs are fighting, they're rolling around. It's just a ball of fur. Being able to just pepper spray both of them and the fight be over. And it's also easier to explain that, hey, neighbor, your dog got loose and tried to fight my dog and I pepper sprayed it. It's a lot easier to explain that than, hey, neighbor, your dog got loose and I shot it. And now you gotta live next door to the guy that you shot his 4-year-old daughter or 6-year-old daughter's favorite dog and best friend. You don't want to have to deal with that. It's much better if you just pepper sprayed them. Now, let's move on to firearms. That's what everybody's here for. When you hear security and preparedness, you think guns. So, while I think you can own whatever guns you want and however many you want, you should be able to own 500 missile launchers and machine guns and have rocket launchers behind your headlights of your car if you want. I think you should be able to have all that stuff. But in practicality, you really only need 4 firearms to get most jobs done. And before you buy any firearms, you should think, why am I buying this firearm? Is it replacing one, doing a job, or is it replacing one? Is it doing a job that I don't have something that already does that job? Or is it just something I want to buy because it's cool? And I don't have a problem with that if you just want to buy something if it's cool. I got some guns that we have just because they're cool. The other thing you should ask yourself is, should I buy this gun or should I invest in more training? And training is something in firearms. I have some training. I need to get more. Sarah needs to get training because she doesn't have really any firearms training. And Thomas and Daniel, I don't think Daniel's ever shot a gun, and Thomas has shot very little. Neither one of them are prepared to use a firearm. And one thing me and Sarah are going to do to build our competency, our abilities, is where I used to live is my late wife's aunt's place. It's right across the street from where we go to church. And I built a shooting range there already. And what we're going to do is once a month, after church and before our preparedness group, we're going to do a little bit of shooting. That way we can practice. And also we plan on buying some airsoft guns to help the kids learn and build some more confidence in them, and for me and Sarah to train with too. I don't think there's anything wrong with teaching kids how to shoot and how to handle guns and operate guns. I think they're a lot safer if they know how the gun works, and like both boys know if they want to know anything about a gun, do anything with a gun, anything like that, I'll show them anytime they want to know, pretty much. And if they want to go shooting, we'll take them shooting anytime they want to. Uh, they know guns aren't toys. They're 13 and 18, but they know the guns aren't toys. But they also know if they want to use them at any time they can. So they're not some mysterious object that they will want to mess around and play around with. So those 3 guns I think everybody should own. 4 guns. I don't know why I said 3. 4 guns everybody should own. A pistol, revolver, something like that, and a gun you can carry with you every day. A 22 for practicing. No, it is 3. Yeah, 4 guns. 22 for practicing. A shotgun that can handle, like a 12 gauge shotgun. You can use slugs in there to shoot deer. You can use bird shot. You can use like upland game load for rabbit and squirrel. So a shotgun can get all those pretty much all your hunting jobs done for you. Now, if you live in an area like where you got moose and you add a full-size rifle to this, most people don't live in places that have big moose and stuff like that. Shotgun can get you by just fine for even the biggest animal. Like I live in Indiana, the biggest animal we have around here is deer. Shotgun's more than capable of taking out a deer. And also shotguns can be used for home defense. But remember, with home defense, like a lot of houses like ours and a lot of modern houses, you have the parents' bedroom on one end of the house and the kids' bedroom on the other. So you may not have good lines of shot that don't put the kids' bedrooms as your backstop. So you need to think about that and plan that and decide that beforehand. And the 2 myths about shotguns is that they'll get stopped easily. They won't overpenetrate. If you shoot a shotgun and you miss the bad guy, it's going to go right through that wall. It won't slow, the drywall will not slow down that shotgun significantly at all. So you got to make sure you know what you're doing before you pull that trigger and what's behind the target. And another myth about shotguns is they're easy to use. You don't need any training. You don't need to practice with it. And because of the spread, you're not going to miss. Well, at most home defense ranges, the spread on shotgun with buckshot is about the size of your fist. So if you don't aim for center mass and you're 18 inches off, you may miss them entirely or almost completely. You still need to aim. You still need to get within, 12 inches of your target, just like you would with a pistol or a rifle. I'm not saying that shotguns are worthless for home defense. I'm just saying they're not what a lot of people think they are, that you just buy one off the shelf at Walmart, throw it next to your bed. If somebody breaks in the house, you'll know how to use it. Bang, bang. Problem solved. For the shotguns, I mentioned 22. 22s are great for practice because the ammunition's cheap, and hunting squirrels and maybe a rabbit. They're okay with rabbits as long as you know what you're doing. Let's put it that way. I'm not a very good hunter. Actually, I've never gone hunting. That's something I need to work on. All right. So the last thing is the last gun you should probably think about buying, and it's what all of us want to buy first. It's an AR-15 or an AK-47. I think you should go with an AR-15 personally. I think it's the best option. Ammunition's usually cheaper, or a lot of times it's cheaper. It's easier to get accessories and parts. But if you're in a preparedness group, whatever your preparedness group decides, you should do that. That way you have interchangeable magazines. Like when me and Sarah got married, her late husband had a AR-15, a regular one in 5.56. I had one in 300 blackout. So right as soon as we got married, moved in, I bought an new upper for my AR, switched out to 5.56, unloaded all my 300 blackout magazines, and loaded them with 5.56. Now, we don't have enough 5.56 ammunition, and we got plenty of 22. We need more 9mm and more shotgun ammunition. I have like 1,500 rounds of 22. I got a good. They were on sale really cheap, and so I bought a ton of them. But we need to buy ammunition, and mostly practice ammunition. We should slowly buy up more, like green tip for the ARs and hollow points for the pistols. But we mostly need practice ammunition, and we need to keep an eye on good deals for practice ammunition. But that's about all I have to say. This podcast is getting pretty long. I wanted to keep these around 15 minutes, and we're at 26 minutes right now for this one. But we had a lot to cover. And remember to practice our situational awareness and those kind of things first. So our homework for this week is to start practicing our situational awareness and come up with some standard operating procedures, like locking doors, only one earbuds, those kind of things. And start keeping an eye on the news and what's going on in the areas around you. Those are our homework for this week. And then we might want to, after we get those things, we want to start looking into doing training. That's more important than buying the firearms. So that's pretty much all I have. Let's get this homework knocked out in the next week. Thanks for watching. This is episode 10 of the Prepare to Prosper podcast, where we prepare today to prosper tomorrow.